Hey, what is good, guys? Comrade64, how you guys are doing? And for this video, I'm gonna be talking about the game J Stars Victory Versus. I'm gonna be talking about the four cut characters that originally were planned to be in this game. Now, J Stars Victory Versus one of the Shonen Jump crossover games. It was released back in 2013, I believe. No, 2014. No, 2014 actually. It was announced in 2013, and it got released in Japan in 2014, and then it got released the year after in 2015 as J Stars Victory Versus Plus. Well, it's the same game, but the only difference is it has a plus in the title, and it also includes an arcade mode, which was not present in the Japanese version, the original version. So yeah, and J Stars Victory Versus is kind of pretty much pronounced as what some people say. Well, I think what some people say one of the best jump crossover games. You know, I think some people say that Jump Ultimate Stars is way better, and I do kind of agree. Now, I haven't played Jump Ultimate Stars, but I can tell it's pretty much better just by the way it looks because it has the master character roster and it pretty much tops all over every other jump crossover game that has been released at that time. Honestly, now does it? But this thing is, guys, Jump Force is kind of will be considered the most successful game. Honestly, sure, Jump Ultimate Stars is better, and so is J Stars. They're better in terms of jump representation for Shonen Jump as a whole. But Jump Force became the more successful and the more best selling, from what I heard and seen. So yeah, and J Stars Victory Versus, I still enjoy the game. Despite the fact that the gameplay does feel a bit whack and kind of get boring to play sometimes, but what kind of make well, one of the reasons that kind of makes me and other people want to go back to J Stars is because how everything about the game, how it represents Shonen Jump, everything and like everything in the game, like it actually felt like an actual representation of Shonen Jump and celebration of Shonen Jump. Jump Force kind of failed to do that, only catering to like a small number of Jump series, while Victory Versus and even the other Jump games before and even after Jump Force all had a lot of Jump series. And so for the next Jump crossover game, which I hope we do get, hopefully it does do what all the games except for Jump Force what they did and have like a lot of Jump series and be like a true awesome, fabulous, fantastic celebration of Shonen Jump as a whole. And that's what I think it should happen. Now we can get on with the meet and greet of the video. Now for the meet and greet of the video, today we're going to be talking about the four cut characters that originally were planned to be in J Stars Victory Versus. Now back when J Stars Victory Versus was the hot new game at the time, when content for it was being made and we were seeing videos about it. Apparently a YouTuber by the name of, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong or something. His name is Seijiro M3, something like that. I apologize if I butcher your name. Apparently he was data mining the game, and I think this was the Japanese version of the game or the plus version. I don't know, but apparently he was data mining the game, and he found four files for four cut characters. And it seems that three of these four characters, three were going to be playable, and one was going to be a support. And these four characters were Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dio Brando, also from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dai from Dragon Quest: The Adventures of Dai, and lastly and finally, Yo Asakura or Asakura from Shaman King. Now, apparently, it's actually revealed that Jotaro, Dio, and Dai were planned to be playable characters, and Yo was actually going to be a support character. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I'll be honest. I'll talk about why I think Yo being a support character is kind of dumb and it's a complete disservice to the character. Honestly, I'm gonna get into that later, soon. But first, I don't. I so first we're gonna say apparently back back on it. apparently these four were planned to be playable in the game at some point, during development. But I guess they probably got caught at the last minute, mainly probably due to time constraints or something like that. Maybe, yeah. So maybe it's probably due to a lack of time. That's probably it. Because sometimes in fighting games, sometimes there are a lot of characters that get planned to be put in the game, and there are characters that get cut during development, due to time constraints and stuff like that. Like, another one of the main examples are Spider-Man, or no, the Super Smash Bros. Series. Like, well, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, the infamous Forbidden Seven. So those seven characters were actually planned to be playable, but they got cut, and their files were left in the game's disk. And this has been the case for even other games. I think uh, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, no, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, no, 3, the vanilla version, you know, Frank West and Dr. Octopus were planned to be playable, but they got cut, and I guess some of their actors were left over in the game data for vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now Frank West, he did got in to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but Doc Ock didn't. Now it is now them not getting in was kind of a different reason, because I think the crew said that it had technical issues trying to get the characters to work, something like that. Well, they managed to get Frank West working and him appearing in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but Doc Ock, I guess for some reason they just couldn't find a way to make him work. No idea what was with that. And also another game like Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 1, apparently, Garfield, Shredder, and Rocksteady had files found in Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 1. And Garfield and Shredder both got into the game, but Rocksteady, he didn't. But interesting enough, Rocksteady did got into Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2, so I guess that was something right there. So technically, there have been a lot of fighting games that have cut characters, sometimes found within the data through data mining and stuff like that. And even like the Dissidia games, the Fantasy Dissidia games, the Dissidia Final Fantasy games, those games, I think one of them had like cut characters found through data mining. So fighting characters through data mining is kind of a fascinating thing in a way. And it seems that, Jotaro, Dio, Dai, and Yo were actually the characters found within data mining through JSR's Victory Versus. Now, I don't know if this is to the Japanese version only, or the Plus version only, or maybe both versions. Now, what's kind of fascinating in this scene enough, one thing that I am kind of wondering is like, did some of these characters had any work done on them? Well, it is revealed that Jotaro did actually have some work done on him actually, and he actually, and I mean, I think a moveset. Apparently, a moveset was made for him, but apparently, I don't know about an actual model. If there was a model made for him, probably so. Because now Surgery 3, again, him, he did release a video about showing off Jotaro's moveset, the potential moveset that he was going to have. Now, apparently, that was on his old YouTube channel, along with the other data mining video of him showing off the video data mining the characters in the game. And apparently, that was on his old YouTube channel, which unfortunately got taken down because something about copyright, something that he violated, some kind of thing. I don't know what happened, but it does suck that that channel's gone. However, there was like a re-upload of the video of him showing Jotaro's moveset in JSR Victory Versus by some other YouTuber. Apparently, I was able to take some screenshots, from that video, and looking at Jotaro's moveset, the potential moveset that he probably would have. And it was basically over Naruto's model, because I guess Jotaro, they didn't make a model for him, or Surgeon 3, he probably couldn't find the model yet during, while he was still in mining, or maybe he could need a little bit more time to do some more data mining so he can find the model or something. Kind of like how in Vanilla 3, this data miner did some more data mining and went as far to find a character portrait for both Frank West and Doc Ock, and even a cut stage. So there is kind of more to Dynamite, and you can find certain stuff. And like in that game, in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Mewtwo had like a playable model and such, and it was actually Dynamite and found. Dynamite managed to find it, and that model was actually reworked and made into an actual playable character in Project M. Interesting enough, and I think the same was probably the same for Roy as well. I think so. Maybe somebody aside from Jotaro, the other characters, Dio and Dai, they probably had playable models as well. They probably had playable movesets as well. They probably could also have models made for them or playable movesets or something. Or maybe not, or maybe it was just probably Jotaro, you know. You know, but now I'm gonna talk about Yo from Shaman King. One thing I wanted to mention about having Yo from Shaman King as a support character while the other three are playable characters. Honestly, I think that's like a huge disservice for the character, honestly. Like for real. And the reason why I say that is because, Yo is basically Shaman King is actually a popular franchise. And Yo, he actually, fits way more better as as a playable character than a support character because Shaman King was very popular, and Yo was actually a playable character in the previous Jump crossover games, Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate Stars, and Shaman King was very popular within Shonen Jump when it was a part of Shonen Jump. Unfortunately, it's no longer owned by Shonen Jump; it's owned by Kodansha now. So I guess, and I think it's under a weekly Shonen magazine instead of Weekly Shonen Jump. So I guess Shaman King is now in the same, camp as Fairy Tail, Rave Master, Aiden Zero, Seven Deadly Sins, Hajime no Ippo, and Fire Force, Air Gear, and then Grand Teacher Onozuka and them, So yeah, so it's kind of a bummer that Shaman King is no longer owned by Shonen Jump, which means we'll probably never see Yo in another Shonen Jump crossover game. Now, if he was in Victory Versus, that probably would have been the last Jump crossover game we would have seen him in, and would have been his third Jump crossover game appearance as a whole as well. I mean, I guess he could probably still make it in another Jump crossover game as like a third party slash guest character, And I think, but I don't know. It'll be, but like having Yo support character, that's pretty much kind of a dumb move. Like Yo has awesome potential for a move set, and such, and also even I hear some people say that Alan Walker should have been made a playable character, and honestly, I kind of agree right there too because Alan Walker he was playable in the previous Jump crossover games before G Stars, the DS games, and honestly, and I think he was planned. I think he was going to be in Jump Force. I think I don't know. Well, apparently, like for Jump Force, some of the custom creators, the hairstyles seems to match one of the characters from D Gray Man. You know, but yeah, I think Yo really did not need to be a support character. He should have been a playable character alongside Jotaro, Dio, and Dai. Which I think would have suited him way better than having him a support character. What other characters they probably should have support character from Shonen Jump. The main character from Ice Shield 21. The football player. Yeah, and he was a support only in the DS games. So he would make a great support in G-Stars Victory versus. So yeah, but overall, it is kind of a bummer that we never got these four characters in J Stars Victory versus. Honestly, they all would have been fun to play. I think maybe they decided to. Now I wonder if another thing that I do wonder is were these characters planned to be DLC at some point during development? Were they planned to be in the base roster to begin with, or were they planned to be or they were cut, were they cut because the development team decided to cut them, or they were cut because of time constraints, or like they were cut because of time constraints, lack of time, and the crew was starting to make them think about making them as possible DLC, if DLC for the game wasn't even planned. Honestly, I do think it would have been a it would have it would have been awesome to have these four characters in the game. You know, Joseph Bizarre Adventure would have had like four reps if you think about it: Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro, and Dio, which would have been sick. And and also Die from Dragon Quest. If he was in Jason's Victory Versus, then Victory Versus would have been the first Jump crossover game that Die would have appeared in instead of Jump Force. And also another thing that got me thinking is that Die, his inclusion in Jump Force, maybe because when Die was included in Jump Force, nothing was done with Dragon Quest: The Adventures of Die in a long time, and then you know we got the announce of the anime remake in 2020. Jump Force came out in 2019, and we got news about the Jump Die Adventures of Die anime remake in 2020. So I'm assuming that Die's inclusion in Jump Force was probably a foreshadowing and maybe like an early promotion to promote that series, the 2020 anime remake. That's why I think. And also the 2020 anime remake is pretty good. Definitely check it out. So I think maybe that's inclusion was just a marketing to promote that series, promote that promote the anime remake. You know, but that's just what I think. And it is kind of fascinating how Jotaro, Dio, and Dai, how all three of them eventually did got into Jump Force. They got cut from JSR Directly Versus, but they got in. They end up getting into Jump Force. It is kind of fascinating. And that kind of makes me wonder if the four cut characters from Jump Force, if they probably might make it in the next Jump crossover game, or at least one of them. And like, I do kind of wonder if Yo from Shaman King, if he was planned to be in, if he was, if Shaman King was still owned by Shonen Jump, would Yo would have gotten into Jump Force, or probably not, or I don't know. It is kind of hard to say honestly, but it is kind of fun to imagine like some kind of what if. And it is kind of a huge bummer, that these four characters never got into J Sedgwick D versus. But it is what it is. And sometimes, in life, things happen. Sometimes characters make it in, sometimes characters don't make it in. You know, it is kind of a bummer at times. But hey, what can you do? So yeah, I think that's it for this video. What do you guys think? Were you guys bummed out that we never got Jotaro, Dio, and Die? Jotaro, Dio, Die, and Yo, and Jay Victory versus. Do you guys agree that Yo should have been made a playable character? And do you think there are more stuff to be found in Jay Victory versus files, through data mining, and more stuff to dig through to find a lot of fun hidden features? And also another thing I want to mention is like maybe there were other characters that were planned to be in Victory versus, but never got in. Maybe I heard a rumor that Yugi Moto was planned to be in Victory Versus, and so was Ginniku Man, but unfortunately they never got in, which is kind of bummer. And I think maybe Yugi probably would have been a support character. I mean, sure they probably could have made him playable character like he was in Jump Force, but I don't think when Jason Rodriguez came out, they kind of had that mindset of making him play like how he did in Jump Force. Honestly, I don't think they were at that mindset just as yet. But it still would have been cool to see. But yeah, I'm gonna think that's gonna be it for this video. Were you guys bummed? Like I said, were you guys bummed out that these four characters, Jotaro, Dio, Dai, and Yo, never got into just Jay Sudrick versus? And do you guys hope that we're gonna get another Jump crossover game in the future? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, the next video I'm going to be planning on doing is going to be talking about the four cut characters in Jump Force. And those four cut characters are Byakuga and Kenpachi from Bleach, and Adrama Shun and Sindus Hyoga from Saint Seiya. How those four characters were planned to be in Jump Force, but they got cut during development or time constraints or something like that. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys like it. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I have more videos coming up in the future. This is Comrade64 signing out. Peace out, guys. Let the battle begin. Shonen Jump. Take it easy, guys.